Welcome back to the Owen Handy Show. I'm Harold Bolton, sports editor George Bremer. We're here again with AU men's basketball coach Owen Handy. Our guest this week, freshman Cole Hartman. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Good to be here.
Coach, on Saturday, not very often that you get a double overtime game. What were your emotions like on the bench?
You know what? Honestly, for somebody who's not very even-keeled most of the time, I thought it was pretty even-keeled. I mean, these guys did a really good job of fighting through some adversity and figuring out how to win the game. You know, we faced deficits in both overtimes, but I really didn't at any point doubt that we were going to win the game. So it was, I was actually feeling pretty placid most of the time, if that can be believed by people who have seen me coach before.
Cole, as a player, when you're going into that first overtime and you're going into the second overtime, do you go back a little bit to practice? I mean, I've seen some of these practices. They can be pretty grueling. Do you start to realize, hey, we've got the conditioning, we have something we can deal with this?
Well, I knew we had the conditioning to get through the overtimes. We just had to focus and stay disciplined to what we were taught to do, and I think we executed that not very well, but we found a way to win.
Good enough, well enough,
yeah,
to get it done. Coach had talked earlier about little things.
Mm-hmm.
That you look at the record right now in the conference, you're 3-5, and you could be 7-2. Just little things here and there. Do you feel like you're making strides towards that?
I feel like our team's improving every day of practice, and every game I think we're getting a little bit better. And you can see that by the Franklin game, we pulled out the win there, and we haven't in the past. So it's definitely progressing.
Coach, you finish up the first time through the conference schedule on Wednesday. Is that an important benchmark to get to the halfway point there and to get ready? You know the second half of the conference season, you're going to be seeing teams for a second time?
Yeah, I think, it makes our game prep different, first of all, because we're not playing teams for the first time. So we're not going back and sort of exhaustively trying to catalog what they're doing. We're going back to our first game against them, looking at how they played us, looking at, small adjustments we need to make to our game plan, big adjustments we need to make to our game plan. But the second time through, it's less about preparation. It's less about preparation in terms of learning the teams and more about preparation on how to play them. Because we feel like the second time through, we know teams better and should be able to prepare more effectively based on what we did the first time around. So it's a little bit different mindset as a coach in terms of how we prepare our coaching staff to coach for a team. And for these guys, my hope would be that in each of these games, I think what we've shown, probably with the exception of the Rose-Hulman game, is that we've been competitive with everybody in the league. So what we'd be looking for the second time through is, we lost a close game at Transylvania last time. We lost a close game to Hanover at home. We lost a close game at Mount St. Joe. We lost a close game here against Defiance. So can we grow? Can we adjust? Can we do what we need to do the second time through, play those teams close again and come out on the right side of it? So I'm really looking forward to the second time through because of the opportunity we have, to prove to ourselves what we're capable of.
And Cole, obviously as a freshman, everything has been new this year. But do you feel like, have you picked up some lessons during the first half of the conference season that you can use now down the stretch?
I've learned a lot throughout the course of the season so far. Basically, it's got to be focused and going 100% the whole time, and that really helps you out.
Do you see differences with the freshmen at this point in the year than you did say back in November?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, Cole talked about focus and giving 100% effort all the time. I think one of the things you start to see, or we start to see out of the new guys as the season progresses, we start to see their personality as players more. One of the things about Cole is he's a really competitive person. And it's not that, I don't have to dig into him a whole lot to get him to play hard if he's not producing what he's capable of. And that's one of the things I really like about our group. I mean, for the most part, we've got really competitive people who want to get better, which means practice is less about me demanding that they play hard, and it becomes more teaching and coaching and getting better at the things we need to get better at. So that's been something I've really appreciated about this freshman group. And as we get to know each other better, I think we get to understand each other better. My expectations are more clearly understood. But they also start to figure out how they can give me feedback on stuff and what they need to ask questions about and where do they not understand things. And so they become better at being coached as the season progresses as well, because we get to know each other, our trust level builds, that sort of stuff.
Cole, you're the leading scorer right now on the team, but there's so many weapons. There's so many different people on any given night. Does that help you as a freshman to understand that, hey, I might need to outscore 20 tonight, but I might need to play a different role as well?
Well, everyone on this team can go out any given day and have a big night, and that really helps out because basically if they take one thing away, we have another guy that can go out and do the same thing that one of our other guys have done.
Have you leaned on some of the upperclassmen? I know Nathaniel Acree, Brett Anderson, Micah Smith that have been vocal. Do you lean on those guys? Do you ask questions?
Brett's a good guy to go to when you don't know what you're talking about. Like in practice, I'll ask him questions on defense, and he knows exactly the spots I need to go. Nathaniel, I love Nathaniel. He's a great captain. He always encourages me throughout practices, stuff like that.
Coach, what do you see from Manchester, and what's it going to take for this team to be successful here at home on Wednesday night?
I think Manchester returns a lot of the same personnel they had last year, but with a new coach, and so they look like a different team on the floor because they play the game differently under their new coach. And they've added one freshman, one new piece who's really their leading scorer, a talented guard named Adrian Johnson. So, they're a little bit like us in the sense that they're a multiple threat team offensively. They've got guys who can really make shots, and Johnson gets into the paint. He can make shots, but his best gift is he's pretty quick with the ball. He gets into the paint and he finds people. So we've got to contain his penetration, and they've got a handful of guys who will make perimeter jump shots. So we got to make sure we're getting back out and not just contesting those shots, but eliminating. If we do that, I think we give ourselves a chance to win. I mean, you look at that matching up with them. I think it's a coin flip in terms of who's the better team. I think we're both teams that are consistently getting better as the season progresses. So I think it's going to be a fun game. We've got two teams that are pretty potent offenses, two teams that are pretty varied in terms of the different looks you see out of them. For these guys, I think it's going to be a fun game to play.
We talked about this last week, but it's still there for you. 2 wins this week potentially, and you get back to 500 in the conference. How important is that?
Yeah, again, I'm thinking less about the record and more about how do we execute, how do we play, because I think we're talented enough that if we play to our ability, the record takes care of itself. So, but certainly, would much rather be 4-5 through one trip through the conference than 3-6. I certainly think that we're right within the thick of the race to slide into the conference tournament. I mean, we've beat teams at home, we've lost to teams on the road. We've got Wednesday's a big game for us. I mean, if we win on Wednesday, we probably help ourselves a great deal towards making the conference tournament. If we lose Wednesday, it becomes that much more difficult. So, not that we should need that extra incentive, but that's there if we do.
All right, well, thanks a lot, guys. Once again, tip-off here, 7:30 at O.C. Lewis Gymnasium on Wednesday night.